Welcome to another episode of Fentress Film Session. Today I'm going to take a look at how the Oregon Ducks blew a 24-17 lead with 2 minutes to go at Stanford and lost in overtime 31-24. In a nutshell, the Ducks allowed Stanford quarterback Tanner McKee to pick them apart primarily by repeatedly completing passes on slants and post routes. On such plays, Stanford went 7 of 8 for 90 yards, including the final 14 yards in overtime for the game-winning touchdown. On all other passes, Stanford was 1 of 7 for 2 yards, those coming on the game-tying touchdown in regulation on a fade pass to the left side of the end zone. Certainly some controversial calls helped Stanford along the way. However, there's little reason to believe that Oregon would have been able to stop Stanford even without those calls because of the Ducks' inability to adjust and shut down the slant and the post. Stanford took possession with 1:59 to go in the game, down 24-17 on their own 13-yard line. The first play of the drive sort of foretold what was coming, even though it was an incomplete pass. The Ducks, as you can see right here, are going to commit to bringing pressure, and they're going to do so for most of the drive. Stanford has 3 receivers to the right. You can't see one of them there on the bottom. The slot receiver is going to run a fade. The number 3 receiver inside is going to run a whip out, and the receiver up top is going to run a slant. Now, you saw the full play earlier, and you saw that he threw the fade, and it's incomplete. But look at this. The guy running the whip out is wide open over the middle, but he's running the whip out. He's not going to stay right there. But look at the top of the screen. The slant to the left is uncovered. I have zero doubt whatsoever that was communicated down to the field, because after Stanford got back-to-back false starts, on the next play, 2nd and 19, they come right to that slant. Boom. And he catches it for 23 yards. Now let's take a look at that play. As you can see, the Ducks are once again showing pressure. However, Sewell this time is not going to fully go, and he's not going to fully drop into coverage. Stanford doesn't really care what Oregon does because it's throwing the slant right away. And as you can see, the slant is wide open, just as it was on the play before when he threw the fade. He catches it in stride, he's moving, he gets the first down, and just like that, all that bad luck with the false starts is erased. On the next play, Tanner McKee drops the snap, gets the ball, throws the quick slant, just misses it. But on this play, Kayvon Thibodeau is called for targeting, so he gets ejected. Stanford gets a first down. Backup Joe West comes in and runs for no gain. But on the very next play, Tanner McKee is back, and guess what? He goes right to the slant. And why not? Oregon is still giving it away. The Ducks have a single high safety playing in the middle of the field. You got pretty much man-to-man across and a lot of cushion for guys. Stanford has already attacked with slants from the outside receivers or inside receivers, and here they're going to have the number 3 receiver run a slant inside to draw the coverage away from the next guy behind him, who's going to run a slant right behind him into a wide open hole. McKee has his choice of 2 different targets, and you can see the huge vast canyon there between the pass rush and the next line of defense behind the receivers. There's just huge open space there. Also, notice the pocket. It's clean. The back stepped up and helped, so that means the 6 guys who are coming are going against 5 offensive linemen and a back, 6 on 6. If it's a quick pass, it's very difficult for anyone to put any pressure on the quarterback. So with open targets, no pressure, it's basically like playing against air. So you have a completion for yet another first down, and guess what? Stanford's going to come back on 1st and 10, and they're going to do the exact same thing. Easy slant over the middle to the inside receiver for another first down. Once again, Oregon's a man-to-man defense with a single high safety, but this time Sewell's not going to blitz. He's going to sort of drop, but not really. It's kind of like a half drop. And we're going to take a look at Jamal Hill on this play. He's the defender over the number 3 receiver, the furthest one inside. There's a receiver to the right we can't see. And watch what Hill does on this play. He begins the play inside the hash mark, but at the snap, he's going to move outside the hash mark, almost as if he thinks the receiver is going to run outside. He's totally given up inside leverage in a man-to-man situation, which is a huge no-no because it just gives away the slant. There's no one in the middle. Sewell's standing there waiting to jump and, I guess, bat down the pass, but the pass is going way behind him and to his right, so he's in no position to actually do so. On the next play, the slant over the middle is open again, but they throw deep with the fade. However, this is the play where Dorless is called for roughing the passer, 15-yard penalty, and Stanford is now inside the red zone. On this play, Oregon actually defends the slant and the post very well, and it's an incomplete pass as Verone McKinley is all over the receiver over the middle. Let's rewind it back and take a look at the adjustment the Ducks made on this play. So the Ducks look like they're going to bring blitz again, but they don't. The two ends are basically going to just stand there like they're trying to disrupt passing lanes. And Hill and McKinley do a great job on man-to-man coverage against this route combination, which we've seen before, post and a slant. Hill is all over it from the get-go. He's right there. He rides right with the slant. He's on it. And then you can see McKinley's got inside leverage on the post. He's going to take that away. McKee forces it. It's not there. Ball falls harmlessly to the ground, incomplete pass. But guess what? Stanford doesn't care. They come right back with the same route combination. This time they complete it, but there's some confusion. It was like Oregon wasn't ready for the play, and the guys are standing around. Anyway, whatever. The reason here, they throw the same exact route right at Oregon and get it. Then they try and run. I don't know what they were thinking here. That maybe they thought they could fool Oregon. He should have given on that anyway. Then he throws a fade. It's incomplete. Then McKee is going to come and go over the middle, and that's incomplete. And then he's going to throw fade on fourth down, and it is also incomplete. Game over. Oregon wins, but no, there's a flag. And I'm going to stay straight up here. You know, there is some contact. This is one of those things to me where you just let it go. No clear advantage there. Stanford takes advantage with another down. Touchdown to the left side. We are tied and going into overtime. And guess what happens there? Imagine this. Stanford runs the slant with the post combination again, and they complete it, but this time Oregon's all over it. The Ducks drop two linebackers into the area where the slant and the post are headed, plus there's two safeties over the top. Hill does a great job of closing on the slant and shuts it down right away. You can see here that even though McKee is going to go to the slant, that it's got no chance of gaining only more than a few yards. Next, Stanford's going to go to the fade again, and then they're going to come for the game-winning touchdown to the right. Once again, hitting a post route, but from an outside receiver this time, since the middle is being taken away by Oregon. Great adjustment by Stanford. Let's take a look at the coverage here for Oregon. They do a good job of taking away the middle this time. They're going to show that a lot of people are coming, but they're not. They're going to drop into coverage. Stanford sends two receivers over the middle, and then they have a post coming from the outside. You can see the middle is taken away with the quarterback's looking outside to the post, and he's reading it. And unfortunately, it appears that the safety took a poor angle to the play. I think that was Verone McKinley, and he's not in position to make the tackle, and no one else is. And touchdown Stanford, they win the game. Final word here. I'm not trying to pile on this situation, but I was just taken aback during the final part of this game when Oregon kept giving up the same routes over and over again without really adjusting. And then when they did adjust, they slowed it down. And even the touchdown pass, that was a much tougher throw, a much tougher situation. They completed it though, and it was a touchdown, but you can't let a team continue to do the same thing over and over and over again. Now, some could argue that, hey, they've given up the middle of the field because Stanford was low on timeouts. That's all fine and dandy, but the clock stops after a first down. You rush to the line, you run the next play. That, to me, is not a big deal. You got to mix up coverages. You got to mix up looks. And Oregon was committed to trying to bring pressure for a lot of that drive and in overtime, but the pressure was irrelevant because they were running quick passes, Stanford was. So if I'm getting the snap and taking one step and throwing it, you bringing six and I'm blocking with six, the odds of you getting to me are not very good. And now I have open passing lanes for my four receivers all over the place with only five covering. And the slant is the easiest throw to make in those situations. And they made them over and over again, or the post. And Oregon just let them do that. Like I said, 7 for 8 for 90 yards and a touchdown on the final drive and in overtime. So people can complain all they want about the penalties. Yes, I agree the passing interference was bogus. But the bottom line is, I think Oregon would have gained those other 30 yards that they got on the two penalties that happened against the quarterback. They would have gotten those yards anyway because Oregon wasn't stopping them. So the Ducks could have done a better job of mixing up the coverages and looks for McKee and trying to confuse him and force him into bad situations. They did not. And ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, that cost them the ball game in the end.